Pearl Baptist Church makes Jesus look really shitty. Like, what, you know?
No, you're right. I'm laughing because you're so right. But that's the picture that people have. And that's one of the reasons why I contend younger generations are disconnected from churches.
You can't handle the truth.
People need transformation, and religion won't do.
This kind of thing is spiritual.
Life is evolving, and so are you.
I feel it already.
Welcome to the Next Evolution Podcast.
Hello, everyone on the Next Evolution Podcast. This is Lionel. So glad to have you join us this wonderful, wonderful day. Hopefully you are doing well, but you're going to be doing better after this wonderful conversation we're having with a dear friend of mine, Miss Deborah. She stopped by all the way from East Texas to share with us her wisdom and knowledge. I'm glad you decided to join this broadcast with the Next Evolution. Here we go. Deborah.
Yes, sir.
Let's have a conversation.
That's one thing I'm good at. I know how to talk.
Man, so listen, I am so happy to talk with you because you have been instrumental in my life in ways that you could never imagine. At the very beginning of my seminary training, my training in becoming a minister, you were there.
How about that?
You were there.
Yeah,
and
it's been a few minutes.
How long has it been since we
first
talked?
got to know each other. Oh, since we've talked?
Yeah.
Ooh, other than catching up just to get this podcast scheduled, good heavens.
It had to be, I'm thinking like 15, 16 years? Easily. That's what I'm thinking. Let our people know, our listening audience, right? So what are you up to these days, right? Let's just talk. We're not going to, look, we don't care about all the other stuff, but what are you up to these days?
Well, I'm back in my hometown. I grew up in northeast Texas. You got to throw the north in there because Texas is big. I grew up in northeast Texas and lived here till I graduated from high school in this little town of about 1,200. And then I went to Bible college, which was the path that led our paths to cross.
Right.
And then I spent about 25 years living elsewhere in the Dallas area, Los Angeles for 4, and then Philadelphia for 6. And then after my divorce was finalized in 2016, I moved back to my tiny little small town in northeast Texas. And I am now actually living with my parents, and I'm kind of their, I guess I help take care of everything around here. I'm doing a lot of the stuff. They get to retire and kick back and say, "Hey, Deborah, do this.
Right.
Hey, Deborah, do that."
You were very involved in maybe indirectly in a lot of stuff happening in the way we were kind of taught and trained and kind of moved forward. I remember. Okay, I'm going to tell you this. I don't know if you remember this. You probably do. Yep.
All right.
I remember when I got accepted to Bright. You guys came to my house. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
And do you remember what someone said to me? I don't know if I can mention names. No.
Oh, I don't care. You can say whatever you want to. You're talking. I'm probably a little too real.
The problem is you're a Texan. That's the problem.
Yeah, well, they say Southern women, they're supposed to be. There's a certain. I'm like, I'm not deep South Southern. I'm kind of Wild West Texas Southern.
Right.
It's a little different. I'm like, you can say whatever you want to.
Right, but your husband at that time said to me, "Hey, I know you're going to that liberal school, but make sure you stay connected to the local church, and you'll be okay." Did you hear that conversation?
I probably, maybe. I don't. That's been like again.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah, just a minute or two ago. That's kind of the good advice though, because and someone said to Paul when at some point the idea of theological education in our upbringing was it was scary to a lot of people, and the idea of get your learning but don't lose your burning. Have you ever heard that phrase?
Wow.
You know, so
Get your learning, but don't
get
lose
your
your
learning,
burning.
but don't lose your burning.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah.
I hear you loud and
So
clear.
yeah, that was kind of a staying connected. I mean, that's how it makes sense. You know, the theology is only useful if you're putting it where the rubber meets the road.
Right. You will be faced with theological presuppositions that you don't quite understand. Prior to that experience, I had not sat in rooms with people who believed the way that the people that I encountered at that university believed. Like,
Right.
they believed stuff that was so different from me, so different on so many levels.
Like,
But
you don't realize how much of a bubble you've been in until you step outside and go, oh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened.
For me, I started having those questions in high school, and then, you know, you kind of put them to the back of your mind, and you just keep kind of punting to Providence.
So as you're going through that, right, you're going through that journey, you come to this knowledge and understanding from your relative. Fast forward, right, when you and Paul are kind of coming to this knowledge and understanding, did that affect your faith journey in a way that you begin to question things? And when I say about question things, I mean, like, did you? I know you didn't go into a moment of doubt, did you? You just went into a moment of like, not from that point, right?
No, I did not go into a moment. It would be described as much more than a moment. I wish it had just been a moment of doubt. No,
Right.
It was like a decade.
A decade. Let's so for the sake of people listening, right? You're going through this. All of these questions are popping up in your head. What was the straw that broke the camel's back for you in your faith journey? What was the thing that kind of was like, oh man, this. If I've ever questioned my faith or been on a doubt or disbelief or whatever, however you want to put that.
I don't know if there was one specific aha moment, because it felt very much like I was slowly falling into this pit of despair. Because everything I had been raised and known, everything suddenly made no sense. Like, I grew up with all the answers. You ask me a question, I got the answer. It's black or white, right or wrong.
Right.
And slowly as I questioned and like hell no longer made, eternal conscious torment didn't make sense. So maybe just like you suffer for a while and then you cease to exist. And it's like I kept baby stepping into this situation. Like, I can't pray for God to protect me. Can I? Is there a God? Like, what is, if God is not all-knowing and all-loving and all, like, first of all, like, if God is all-knowing, all-loving, and all-powerful, I don't like God very much, because I'm going to have a hard time worshiping someone or some deity that is less compassionate than I am.
Right.
So when I really put all those together, I'm like, I don't understand how the hoops that one has to jump through to make that God make sense. But then I didn't know what made sense.
Right.
Because everything, the whole, it was completely groundless. Completely groundless.
God, that sounds like what I went through. It's almost like you're standing over the edge of the Grand Canyon, and nothing's nothing's under your feet.
Yeah, like you wake up in that dream and you're like, oh wait, no, and then there's a glass floor. Except there's no glass floor.
There's no glass floor. Oh,
and
Deborah, I've been there.
Completely groundless. And stumbling upon someone, like finding out that Carlton Pearson, being raised Pentecostal, and he's a Christian Universalist, and I'm like, okay, now that I can do.
Right.
Yes,
Huge
I can
shift.
do that. It was huge, but I still, like, the prayer thing still I'm like, I can't. I just couldn't pray. Like, I don't believe God can work miracles in the traditional God healed my whatever.
Would you consider yourself still on that journey, or did you come out of that? And if you did, what got you from that to where you are now? Like, was it books? What was it that did it for you?
Like, I just don't in the traditional healing kind of miracles, I guess what I'm at right now, I've got a T-shirt that says, I may not be right, but I know that's wrong.
Right.
I don't know that there are completely right answers to most questions, because most of the time when I would come up with an issue, I would find whatever question it was about prayer or faith or whatever, 3 great answers,
Right.
all diametrically opposed to the other 2 answers.
Right. Which is
I
normal.
could hear this answer, which is normal, but not normal in the way we grew up.
Right.
At least not me. In the way I grew up, there's only one answer.
Right.
And it's either this or that. But now it's like, what I think now is more important is the questions. Because I know people who prayed to get healed from a tumor and didn't get healed.
That's right. That's
and
right.
So I'm like,
That's right.
I have issues with an all-knowing, all-loving, all-powerful God. I've given up the all-knowing, and I've given up the all-powerful, and I'm okay with that. And
Right.
I could be wrong. I'm not saying I'm right.
Right.
But it makes the world make sense for me, because then when my friend's sitting beside me crying at her 2-year-old son's funeral, I can say, God, I don't believe God's all-powerful, so God couldn't have fixed it. I don't believe God's all-knowing, so I don't know that he knew it was going to happen, or God knew it was going to happen. But God is all-loving, and I'm sitting here beside you, and I care, and I can't explain it. Like, why do I care? You know, and I've got some friends who are evolutionists and atheists, and they're like, well, you care because that's the only way we could survive is, you know, someone has to be watching out to make sure we don't get ate by the saber-toothed tigers. And fast forward to now, we care because life and community makes sense. Those kinds of things about the things that we were told about Jesus and the love and those things make sense. But now they make sense regardless of whether or not someone says they believe in Jesus or not. I have people who would say I'm an atheist because I don't believe in this very limited, narrow concept of who God is. The divine spark, that inner light, whatever that is. We all have it. What makes your heart beat? What makes my heart beat? What makes us care? What is that feeling when you think, I need to call so-and-so? And you call them up and you find out something awful has just died. Someone died in their life, and and you're like, how did you know to call me? And I'm like, is it the Holy Spirit? Okay, I can speak that language. Is it the divine spark? Is it the God in me? I don't care. Some people are highly offended by calling it God, because the God that they've been exposed to is this awful, sadistic, hateful, awful thing. Okay, I won't call it God to you, because you have a bad experience with God. I'll call it, I don't care. I don't care what it is. If you're being kind and you're being loving and you're being generous and you're being Jesus.
What would you say to someone who's listening, who is going through that similar faith journey? Maybe it's the evangelical church, maybe it's a mosque, or maybe it's a temple, or maybe it's some other kind of faith group. They are stuck. They know where they are is not good. They don't know how to go from one place to the next. What advice would you give to them today?
There's a lot I'm willing to let go of, but if you're living in love, find a community where you feel loved, and I think you'll be all right.
Deborah, thank you so much for joining us. Blessings to you and your family, and I look forward to talking with you in the near future.
Thank you so much. Blessings to you and yours.
Bless you, sis. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
There's 3 takeaways that I wrote down from this. Number 1, to build community, you have to stay connected with other people who can help you. Surround yourself with people of like-mindedness. Number 2, you have to reclaim the concept of community. And even if that means you have to build community through social media, social audio platforms, there are people out there who believe what you believe. You just have to go out there and find your community. Number 3, use online resources to do this, whether this is through Facebook group, Twitter Spaces, maybe Clubhouse. These are other ways that you can also begin to build community. Lead by love. Lead by love. No greater thing you can do. Treat someone the way you want to be treated. Show love in order to give love. Whatever you put out comes back to you. Those are the takeaways that we learned. So once again, thank you so much for listening to the Next Evolution podcast, and look forward to the next podcast that should be coming out in the next few weeks. God bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord cause his face to shine upon you from this time and evermore until we meet again. God bless you. We talk to you soon. Peace.